Which Disney World resort do people say is one of the quietest on property? And which one are people saying has the best views? And which resort are some of y'all thinking may be way too overhyped? Let's find out the truth today here on DFV Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and today's video is going to work a little differently. Instead of me telling you about the resorts around Disney World, we're going to hear reviews from you instead. So during this video, we're going to be looking at some of the best and worst Disney World resorts based on TripAdvisor reviews. But don't worry, we'll be adding our in-depth info along with these opinions. That's why you watch us, right? But the TripAdvisor reviews will be a good jump-off point to start a conversation. With that being said, here's my big disclaimer for you. These reviews reflect the experiences and opinions of others. So while they can be extremely valuable when it comes to helping you decide which resort you want to book for your upcoming trip, make sure you're doing your own research as well and not relying solely on what one person's experience might have been like, whether it be positive or negative. Also keep in mind that today's reviews are only covering Disney-owned resorts, so no Good Neighbor hotels or Airbnbs or VRBOs or surrounding places to stay will be featured in today's list. And while you're busy doing your own research, we'd love to keep helping you out too, which is why we've got a full printout list of all the Disney World resorts that you can download today for free. Just scan the QR code that you see on your screen or head over to disneyfoodblog.com/hotels and we'll get those sent your way. All right, ready to talk about the 5 best hotels as rated by TripAdvisor in Disney World. Not gonna lie, while I wasn't surprised to see some of the resorts on this best of list, others had me a little taken aback, including this first one here, Disney's Art of Animation Resort. Perhaps you're not shocked to see Art of Animation as one of the highest rated Disney World resorts on property. After all, there's plenty to love about it. Judy W. had a lot to say about their recent stay at Art of Animation, stating that this resort is simply spectacular, from the friendliness of the employees to the cleanliness of the rooms. They went on to state that the suites here are spacious and have everything you would need for a family. And like, what more could you ask for, right? In the past, Art of Animation has been a bit criticized for being listed as a value resort, but not really providing that value some guests are searching for. Well, this is one of 2 value resorts that offers up family suites, the second one being All-Star Music. Prices for said Art of Animation family suites can still get up as high as $500 to $700 per night, depending on the season. But what we're seeing on TripAdvisor is that this big price tag isn't really deterring guests as much as we thought it would. In fact, when you look at the over 8,000 reviews of this resort, about 4,500 of them have rated their stay as excellent, and nearly 3,000 of them have still rated it as very good. User AmbaXX stayed in one of the Lion King suites just this past June and said that they had an amazing immersive Disney experience. They talked about how their stay was very clean, spacious, and well-manned, with extremely nice staff and great amenities, such as the food court, gift shop, swimming pools, and arcade, but they do think the Skyliner is by far one of the biggest advantages to staying here. Yep, agreed. We've got some great takeaways here. Art of Animation continues to provide a quintessential Disney World experience for families, with some of the most over-the-top Disney decor across all the hotels. And while other resorts on the Skyliner route like Riviera, Caribbean Beach, and the Epcot area resorts like Boardwalk Inn and Yacht and Beach Club continue to be some of the highest priced resorts with this transportation offering to and from Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, Art of Animation is still one of the most affordable, especially if you settle on getting a standard room here for around $200 plus per night. Even with Art of Animation's higher priced family suites, you're still going to be getting more room for your family at the same price or less than you'd get with some of the deluxe resort's standard offerings, with less wiggle room and less colorful theming. If you're still looking for an even cheaper stay, however, while still staying close to the Disney Skyliner, Disney's Pop Century Value Resort still takes the cake with its more affordable standard room options. But once again, you'll be sacrificing actual space in exchange for that cheaper price point. Next one on our best of list from TripAdvisor, Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter Resort. Yep, this one didn't shock me at all. Disney's Port Orleans French Quarter is a moderate resort that has us coming back time and time again, even if we're not staying as guests there. After all, the Mardi Gras vibes are great and the beignets are even better. Lisa H. on TripAdvisor mentioned the different amenities available at this moderate resort. The food court was fine with a reasonable choice of fast food. Pool area was great with a slide that my granddaughter loved. Now, even with Lisa's 5-star rating, we gotta take a look at the way they talked about the food offerings here, calling them fine and reasonable. So, I guess that's fair. I personally love Sassagoula Food Court, and I think the jambalaya there is excellent. Plus, you've got the beignets from Scat, Cats Club, and Cafe. But Port Orleans French Quarter does offer the least amount of food options among the moderate resorts. You're not even going to find a table service offering here, though Sassagoula Floatworks and Food Factory is still going to serve up a nice variety of Cajun classics and standard theme park eats. That being said, if you're looking for more dining options, you can always take the French Quarter riverboat on over to the hotel's sister resort, Port Orleans Riverside, or you can take it over to Disney Springs, where you're going to find hundreds of dining options lining the shopping district that are only a boat ride away. TripAdvisor user NB Chica had a lot of good things to say about the overall atmosphere of French Quarter. One major plus for them was this resort's compact size, making it quick to get around and easy to navigate. Though this user loved staying at Riverside in the past, they did note that the Riverside Resort is much larger and easier to get lost in. Just to springboard off of that, while French Quarter does have fewer food offerings than the other moderate resorts, its smaller size does play to its advantage. Other moderates like Coronado Springs and Caribbean Beach could potentially place you in a room that's really far away from the lobby and other hotel amenities, yet everything stays pretty compact at French Quarter. It's very small and very walkable. Sure, you might still have to walk a few minutes to make it over to the feature pool, Doubloon Lagoon, or the food court, but you're not going to have to take a bus just to get from your room to the other side of the hotel. All right, third on our list of TripAdvisor best ofs is Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. So AKL is a deluxe resort that provides a lot for its value with authentic African theming throughout. Across the 8,000 plus reviews of this hotel on TripAdvisor, over 5,000 of them have deemed Animal Kingdom Lodge as excellent, 2,000 plus have rated it very good. User Waimea2Veil12 wrote that the bathroom was excellent with high-end fixtures, the lobby is amazing as well as the grounds, service was excellent, being able to check in online and use our phone app to open the door was great. Oh, okay, let's talk about some of that real quick, because we got a couple of interesting points brought up here. First off, that mobile check-in process this user is talking about really is great, and good news, it's available for every Disney World resort. Here's what you need to do. First, download and connect your My Disney account info to the My Disney Experience app. Next, check in online before your trip. Once your room is ready for you, which is usually around 3 p.m. for most rooms and 4 p.m. for villas, you'll be able to use your My Disney Experience digital key to go straight to your room and head inside with no visit to the front desk necessary, unless you need to swing by the front desk for any particular reason, of course. Cast members are still there and ready to answer questions if you need them. And yeah, the bathrooms in these Animal Kingdom Lodge rooms are nice and spacious with classy decor. In a standard room, you're going to have a bathroom with a separate sink area and toilet and bath area, which is nice when one person's trying to get their makeup on and one person's trying to get a morning shower in before the day starts. There is, however, only one bathroom featured in the standard room, so if you're wanting 2 bathrooms, you're going to need to look into the 1 to 3 bedroom villas, which tend to have a starting price of $750 plus per night for a 1-bedroom villa with a standard view. Just to put that in perspective for you, you might wind up paying less for a 1-bedroom villa here than you would a standard room at Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa. Speaking of which, TripAdvisor user Sprocket1066 compared Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge against the Grand Floridian in their review, wondering why the Grand Floridian is considered to be the jewel of the Disney resorts when Animal Kingdom Lodge has very unique theming where you can stand on your balcony and watch giraffes and zebras wander by. This reviewer had booked a standard view room at Animal Kingdom Lodge and ended up with a partial view of the savannah, which put them slightly over the fire safety zone but didn't really hinder their view or their experience. They noted that they were still able to save a fortune, but get the fantastic view regardless. Now, let's unpack that. Even when you don't pay extra for the full savannah views of this resort, you could potentially still wind up seeing all the wildlife in this lodge's backyard. For a better chance at getting a partial savannah view with your standard room price, make sure you put in a request for a partial or obstructed view after you book. You can do this through the check-in process via your My Disney Experience app, or you can always speak directly to a cast member about your room request by calling 407-939-1936. Now, when you put in a request for a partial or obstructed view room, this doesn't mean you'll 100% be guaranteed that room, but it probably increases your chances. Now, just to be devil's advocate, one of the reasons some folks are still going to prefer one of the other deluxe resorts instead of Animal Kingdom Lodge is for location. While this resort is literally in Animal Kingdom's backyard, the only way you're going to be traveling to any of the parks, including Animal Kingdom, is by bus. Meanwhile, all the other deluxe resorts have some sort of other transportation method besides just the bus system to conveniently get guests delivered from their hotel to certain park gates within minutes. Even Disney Vacation Club only resorts like Old Key West and Saratoga Springs might not have park transportation other than the bus system, but they do have boat transportation to Disney Springs, meaning Animal Kingdom Lodge has the least amount of complimentary transportation offerings when it comes to deluxe resorts. But that may be a small sacrifice to you if you want to stay at a cheaper deluxe resort with epic theming and solid dining options. Okay, it's time for the Grand Floridian Resort and Spa rebuttal. Despite this bougie hotel putting a sour taste in the mouths of some guests because of the peak price points you're going to find here all year long, the Victorian elegance of Disney's Grand Floridian Resort and Spa continues to draw many folks back in. TripAdvisor user Subluvier loved their recent stay at this classic resort, stating that the newly renovated Mary Poppins rooms are beautiful. The reviewer went on to say their main issue with many Disney resorts is that the rooms seem small and are impossible to get a comfortable temperature. But they didn't seem to have the same issue while at the Grand Floridian. For the most part, this user said that Grand Floridian staff was incredibly friendly and made the stay enjoyable, and their kids loved the feature pool. One child even said it is their favorite Disney pool ever. That's huge praise. With all that being said, this user did point out something extremely important in their review, reminding other guests that renovations are still in progress at the main building of Grand Floridian. That being said, they also noted that the setup around the resort construction keeps the flow going and wasn't a huge issue for them to navigate. Yep, renovations are still alive and kicking here, folks. That's because Disney's been investing a lot into this hotel lately. Ever since this resort opened back up post-2020 closures, we've been seeing a lot of updates. They opened the new Mary Poppins-themed Disney Vacation Club villas and updated the Narcoossee's restaurant and changed the Citricos and Victoria and Albert's dining experiences too. But currently, Grand Floridian is taking their renovations one step further by updating all their other non-Disney Vacation Club hotel rooms. Eventually, renovations will start in the main lobby area as well. Now, while it's nice to see Grand Flo getting a good old spit and shine, the Disney World website does warn that hotel guests will be able to see and hear construction around the resort, including in the lobby during daytime hours. However, most resort hotel amenities will remain available, they say. So those pools and water slide that the review mentioned will still be open for guests during this time, and so will the luxurious poolside cabana rentals, which you can book by calling 407-939-7529 before your visit. It makes sense that a lot of the most recent Grand Floridian reviews would center around the resort's construction and updates. And while some worried that these refurbs would take away from the resort's timeless charm, it seems that many guests who stayed here recently are more than satisfied with the changes being made. Like Michael N., for instance, who stayed for 3 nights in the Boca Chica outer building back in December. Michael pointed out that the building was just completely updated and the renovated rooms are gorgeous. They went on to sing the praises of this hotel, claiming it to be a timeless classic. And since Michael was staying here around the holidays, they mentioned that the lobby during the Christmas season was a spectacular sight as well. However, they did mention that the walk to the quick service food location, Gasparilla Island Grill, was a bit far from where they were staying and that they wish there was another food location more central to all the outer buildings. Lots to unpack there, but I will leave you with this. Grand Floridian really does go all out during the holiday season, especially with their giant gingerbread house display. So if you're planning on visiting Disney World this Christmas season and you want to stay at a deluxe resort that goes all in with the holiday spirit, Grand Floridian definitely does it. Plus, if you're planning on attending the Magic Kingdom After Hours event, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party this year, you'll only be a monorail ride away from Main Street USA. Fifth on the list of best ofs from the TripAdvisor reviewers is Disney's Wilderness Lodge. Disney's Wilderness Lodge may feel like a wildcard entry for you, but this relaxing deluxe getaway out in the woods could be just the one you're looking for. With about 4,000 reviews to its name on TripAdvisor, Disney's Wilderness Lodge has ranked excellent or very good with about 3,500 guests. And TripAdvisor user Impossible Girl, love the name by the way, noted that they've stayed at Wilderness Lodge a couple of times now and that it's always been beautiful. They wrote that the rooms are cozy, though they could be a bit bigger for the price, and what truly makes Wilderness Lodge worth it for them are the resort's pools, activities, and restaurants. They had fun doing crafts outside, as well as having s'mores parties around one of the campfires at night. Dude, not to strictly focus on the s'mores part of this review or anything, but can we talk about the hotel s'mores for a second? Because I really don't talk about them enough. If you're planning on staying in a Disney World hotel in the near future, take advantage of the free marshmallow roasting that takes place around the campfires each night. But if you want to bump up your marshmallow roasting game, you can now buy a s'mores kit for $7 with Mickey-shaped graham crackers. Okay. At Wilderness Lodge, the campfire activities are located near Geyser Point Bar and Grill and take place daily between 7 and 8 p.m., weather permitting. Okay, I'll be quiet about the s'mores now. Let's move on to a review from TripAdvisor user Chapo125, who actually lives overseas. This traveler's from the UK and mentioned that Wilderness Lodge has always been a favorite of theirs. Their most recent stay here was clean, had a great view, and even gave them the chance to see the Magic Kingdom fireworks from where they were staying. This user did have an issue with their credit card being charged incorrectly, but the manager sorted this out very quickly, giving them first-class service from start to finish. Disney World is known for their quality customer service, but this user points out something extremely important. On the morning you check out of your Disney World resort, you'll be emailed your guest folio, which is Disney talk for the hotel bill. Your bill is also available to view at any time via the My Disney Experience app, or just going to the front desk. If you see a discrepancy on your hotel bill, don't be afraid to head to guest services and ask about any extra charges you're unfamiliar with. I had this happen to me a couple of times, and I just head up and I ask them about those charges or what's going on there, and sometimes there are errors and sometimes there aren't. All in all, Disney's Wilderness Lodge seems to be a popular choice among guests who want to stay close to Magic Kingdom but still want that vibe of being dropped in the middle of the great outdoors. Okay, the reviews so far have been pretty sweet and sugary, but this next batch isn't going to hold back anything. We have come to the 5 worst hotels in Disney World according to TripAdvisor reviews. We're going to start with a very controversial hotel choice here, Disney's Contemporary Resort. Now, are we allowed to talk about how some people just really don't mesh with the OG Deluxe Resort? According to TripAdvisor user Experience 2517, the last thing they wanted to do was leave this resort a poor review, and yet some miscommunication led them to do just that. This reviewer booked the Contemporary to splurge and live out a childhood dream of seeing the monorail go straight through the hotel. But instead of being in the main building, they were placed in a room inside the garden wing. They stated that they didn't even know this building existed and that their garden wing room was literally a quarter of a mile from all the Contemporary's key amenities. Oh yeah, let's get into this because I don't want the same thing to happen to you. When you go to book a standard room at the Contemporary, you'll notice that each option features one of 2 locations. It'll either tell you a room is located in the main tower or in the garden wing. If you book a room in the main tower, you'll be right there in the hub of it all, with the monorail, the restaurants, the gift shops, right in that A-frame building that the monorail goes right through, which is the only building most people think the Contemporary has. But if you book a room labeled as the garden wing, this is not part of that A-frame main tower building. Some folks prefer booking in the garden wing for this very reason. It's quieter, it's got bigger rooms available, and it'll still put you within walking distance of the Magic Kingdom. But much like the review I just read, not everyone's a fan of this building. The garden wing does remove you from the rest of the resort's hustle and bustle, meaning you're gonna have to walk farther to get to the restaurants and the monorail, instead of all these amenities being right there as soon as you step out of your room. So before you book a room at the Contemporary, make sure you're 100% certain of where you're going to be placed, and talk it over with your group to make sure everyone's okay with that location too. Even with the monorail at your disposal here, some guests, like TripAdvisor user Larry628, still aren't big fans of the transportation options. Larry's family stayed 4 nights at the Contemporary and were disappointed to find that the resort still doesn't have boat service to and from the Wilderness Lodge in Fort Wilderness. Instead, they had to catch buses and waste 45 minutes each way for breakfast and shopping. While Larry mentioned that the rooms are nice, they said they're not $565 plus a night nice. Now, the garden wing is often going to be cheaper than the main tower rooms, so if you see a cheaper room that looks just the same as another one, that's probably garden wing. Unfortunately, even though Disney's Wilderness Lodge and Fort Wilderness Resort and Campground are part of the Magic Kingdom area, they're not on the monorail loop, so in order to get to these resorts from the Contemporary, your best bet is to ride the monorail to the Magic Kingdom, then take a bus or one of the boats the rest of the way to these outdoorsy hotels. Now, sometimes boats do go between the Magic Kingdom, the Contemporary, and Fort Wilderness and Wilderness Lodge, but that might not be back by the time you go. If you're heading to Wilderness Lodge or Fort Wilderness for a dining reservation, keep in mind what this reviewer said. It took them about 45 minutes to get there from the Contemporary. Make sure you give yourself plenty of time. An hour is usually recommended just to be safe to arrive at the restaurant you have advanced dining reservations for. Also keep in mind that no resort buses will take you over to any of the other resorts unless it's part of their routine internal bus loop, like you'll find between Port Orleans Riverside and French Quarter. So again, if you're starting your day at one hotel, but you need to get over to a different hotel for a dining reservation, give yourself plenty of time to get over there if you're relying on Disney transportation only, since you'll have to transfer buses at one of the parks or the Disney Springs area. Or if you're planning on staying at the Contemporary, just make a reservation for one of the other monorail resorts like Disney's Polynesian Village or Grand Floridian for a quick and easy ride from one deluxe hotel to the next. There's great restaurants in both. Next on our list is Caribbean Beach Resort. Not trying to be a hater, but the reviews for Caribbean Beach didn't exactly surprise me. This moderate beach-themed resort is Disney World's most affordable tropical getaway when compared to its other tropical getaways like Polynesian Village, Old Key West, and Beach Club. But that cheaper beach price point comes at a different kind of cost. According to DT, the first appearances of this resort are rather deceiving since the outside theming is bright and inviting, while the inside of the hotel room feels like a late 70s econo lodge. DT noted that on the plus side, the linens were clean and the toilet has a strong flush. Glad you got that strong toilet flush in there, DT. It's the little things we love the most. In all seriousness, this review made some good points. Caribbean Beach really is beautiful on the outside with one of the best feature pools, some relaxing sandy beach sides where you can lounge the day away in a hammock, and colorful buildings reminiscent of the real live Caribbean islands. That being said, when you compare the standard room offerings here to the other moderate rooms around the resorts, they do tend to pale in comparison. Caribbean Beach does have a few updated rooms now, which are themed around the 1989 animated version of The Little Mermaid. These refreshed rooms replace the former Pirates of the Caribbean rooms and include new artwork, brighter decor, pastel colors, and a fifth sleeper bed. The only problem with these new rooms, however, is that there's no guarantee you'll get a renovated room over the older fifth sleeper room models since the Little Mermaid styled rooms don't have their own booking category quite yet. And they're also really far away from the lobby and the dining and all of that stuff. Like I mentioned earlier, it's always a good idea to put in specific room requests during online check-in to improve your chances of getting the room you want the most, but just keep in mind that if no Little Mermaid room is still available during your visit, Disney will have to put you in one of the older model rooms, which could be disappointing if you were getting your hopes up. And DT wasn't the only reviewer who mentioned the outdatedness of this resort. Another TripAdvisor reviewer, MM, also mentioned that the lobby of Caribbean Beach is nice, but the rest of the resort feels a bit dated. They mentioned that their room, with 2 queen beds and a kid's pull-out bed, was just so small, and they really expected more for that price point. There were several reviews about Caribbean Beach that followed the same tone of disappointment, which is probably why, out of all the hotels in the Orlando area, Caribbean Beach is ranked number 225 out of 385, according to TripAdvisor. With all that being said, Caribbean Beach isn't a bad hotel, so if you've already booked it, please don't panic. Caribbean Beach is part of the Skyliner route. It's kept very clean. You're still going to get that top-notch Disney service. But before you book, it's always important to balance out the pros and cons for every hotel you come across and decide if the positives outweigh the negatives. Also, we have plenty of videos where we talk about all the Disney hotels. We rank all of them. We talk about all the moderate resorts. So we have a lot of in-depth videos about Caribbean Beach specifically. So if you have booked there, go watch those and see if it's a place you want to stay or if you want to switch. Oh dear, this next one is going to ruffle some feathers. The third in our list of worst hotels, according to TripAdvisor in Disney World, is Disney's Polynesian Village Resort. Oh dear, okay, and the reviews coming in about this deluxe resort did not pull punches. Let's look at what TripAdvisor user Disney World Vacationer has to say about their stay at the Polynesian from back in May of this year. They stayed at the King Kamehameha Club level at Polynesian Village, and though they loved the views, they felt that paying for club level was not worth it. According to the reviewer, the vegetarian members of this family could only have some veggies and crackers at the club level lounge. On top of that, the coffee machine was broken the whole time, he says, which was a huge deal. They were told to go to the main building and buy coffee there, defeating the whole purpose of club level convenience. He says they love the Polynesian, but they felt taken advantage of. Okay, so this reviewer still admits that they continue to love this tropical resort, but the concerns they brought up are legit. For those who are unfamiliar with club level or concierge level as it's sometimes called, these are special hotel room categories at select Disney resorts, usually the deluxe resorts, although Coronado Springs also has it. And these offer extra perks. If you're staying in a club level room, you'll have access to a special lounge that offers snacks and beverages throughout the day. Now, if you have any special diets that you're going to need accommodations for, like vegetarian, or if you have a specific allergy to certain food types, Disney recommends that you chat with a concierge cast member either before or upon your arrival concerning your dietary needs. That way you can make any specific requests at that point of time. After all, club level is not cheap. It's usually $100 plus more than a regular room, so the last thing you want to feel when you book a club level room is disappointment. But that's not the only concern guests have about the Polynesian Village Resort right now. Just ask Justin D., who booked a standard room for over $700 a night. Justin said that the description of the room they booked on the Disney website stated that they would see a garden, monorail, or parking lot view from their hotel window, But instead they were placed in a room looking directly into the new construction. Justin went on to write that nothing says Disney theming like a 2-story tall dirt hill, cranes, and excavators. Oh yeah, Grand Floridian definitely isn't the only Magic Kingdom area resort undergoing major renovations right now. Disney's Polynesian Village is currently constructing some new Disney Vacation Club villas set to open sometime in 2024. This will give DVC members fresh new waterfront view options as well as new dining and swimming areas too. But that means the construction you're seeing currently is going to be sticking around until later next year. If you're wondering about what construction or updates are happening at any of the Disney World resorts you're wanting to book, always check the main page of the hotel you're thinking about on the Disney World website. Any important warnings or notices about things that could potentially throw off your stay will be listed at the top of the page in orange lettering, so you can know about these potential disruptions before you book. Polynesian Village is still a resort that stays near and dear to my heart, but if you're wanting to stay here in the near future, be aware that the views around this hotel aren't as picturesque as they usually are, and probably won't be returning to normal anytime soon. Next on the list of worst hotels for TripAdvisor reviewers is Disney's All-Star Sports. Now, this has some of, if not the, cheapest value rooms available across Disney World property. And that may be all you needed to hear to go ahead and book it, regardless of where it falls on the TripAdvisor radar. After all, it's still a Disney-owned resort that's close to the parks and has the standard Disney value amenities like pools and food courts, and a place to lay your head each night, as well as early entry. But as far as the TripAdvisor reviews are concerned, this might not be your best resort choice ever, especially if the resort itself is something you consider to be an important part of the whole Disney vacation package. TripAdvisor user J.S. Levan didn't exactly despise their stay back here in April, but they did point out a few key downfalls from their personal experience. In their review, they pointed out 3 key major flaws. 1, there was no microwave to warm up their leftovers. 2, the price of these rooms was still high. This reviewer even used their pass holder discount and still thought the room wasn't worth the cost. And 3, the toilets are high flushed, which they said was nice and all, but not when they were trying to sleep and their neighbors were flushing after midnight. And there we go with the toilets again. Caribbean Beach called, it wants its high-powered flushing back. But oh my goodness, yes, Disney hotel walls are very thin. In fact, a review by Shelby S. basically reiterated the same exact concerns, mentioning that they needed earplugs every night of their 16-night stay here thanks to the tissue-thin walls. This meant they were able to hear kids stomping past their room like miniature elephants, as well as massive youth sports groups chanting outside their room at 2 a.m. Shelby clarified that they understand this is Disney World and that they didn't expect silence or anything, but they also didn't expect noise at those levels either. Before you head out on vacation, make sure you pack things that'll help you sleep through any potential neighbor noises. I'm talking white noise machines, earplugs, maybe AirPods if you like to fall asleep to music, whatever helps you sleep at night, and I mean that sincerely. On the flip side of things, remember that you too are someone else's neighbor. I understand that some loud noises just can't be helped, like a toilet flush or if your baby starts crying. I mean, we've all been there. But just be mindful, if you're coming in late or getting up super early, that shouting, door slams, blaring TV shows, etc. can still be heard in the room next door. You know the golden rule, my friends, do unto others. And the next one on our list of worst Disney hotels according to TripAdvisor reviews, Disney's Coronado Springs. Now, this is another highly controversial one, but the reviews surrounding Coronado Springs are rather indecisive, landing it in this spot in the bottom 5 hotels. When it comes to all the resorts in the Orlando area, Coronado Springs only ranks 211 out of 385. But why? Why would a resort that has the most restaurants for a moderately priced hotel and the biggest hot tub in all the resorts and the bougiest amenities when you want to be fancy on a budget rank so low on the overall Orlando hotels list? Aaron B. said that when they first arrived at Coronado Springs, they were so impressed by the grandeur of the lobby, stating that this is definitely one of the prettiest Disney resorts out there. Unfortunately, the first room they were given was incredibly noisy due to an ice machine that seemed to be constantly grinding right outside. Thankfully, they were moved quickly to a room in a much nicer location. The staff at the lobby were very understanding, and this improved their stay at first, but the bus transport continued to be a big letdown for Aaron. It seemed to be okay with them in the mornings, but after lunch, they usually waited quite a while for a bus to finally arrive. The worst experience Aaron had while waiting for buses was from Magic Kingdom to Coronado Springs after the fireworks. And we're back to the bus issues again. Sorry folks, but this really is one of the biggest problems you're bound to face when you're staying at one of these resorts. A big reason as to why several of the more expansive resorts get such a negative rep is because of their internal bus loops. In short, an internal bus loop means your shuttle's gonna have to stop at multiple bus stops before it finally heads out to the parks or Disney Springs. Much like I mentioned earlier, if you need to get to a dining reservation, you're gonna need to give yourself an hour or so of extra time, just in case these buses take longer than expected. However, if you're running out of time and you need to make it over to a dining reservation stat, consider splurging a little on a rideshare service or a minivan, since these vehicles can prioritize your pickup and get you to where you need to go faster than Disney's complimentary shuttle services can. Don't forget, a minivan is basically Disney's version of a rideshare, and it's operated by Lyft. TripAdvisor user Puck021 was conflicted about their stay back in May. They had several pros listed out, like how the grounds are beautifully maintained, the layout around the lake is cool, the staff are all friendly, and the beds are comfortable and come with 5 pillows on a king. But the downside of this hotel was that everything's a long walk, unless you're staying in a room at the Gran Destino Tower. They also mentioned that the entire layout of the casita area is very confusing. The signage is lacking, and they literally had to find an employee to help point them in the direction of their room. Meanwhile, the rooms all open to outdoor walkways, which, according to this user, made them feel very motel-like. Now, there was something I want to zero in on here, and that's the brief mention of staying in the tower. There are 2 key sections of Coronado Springs. The first is the OG rooms. The original rooms at Coronado Springs are split into 3 different groups: casitas, ranchos, and cabanas. Much like the review mentioned, these are the hotel rooms that have more of a motel vibe. Their doors face outside, and they can be quite a maze to navigate. But the second section of this resort is the brand new Gran Destino Tower, which opened in 2019. Gran Destino Tower breaks that motel mold and feels more like a deluxe resort rather than a moderate one. Not only do all of its rooms have doors located inside the building, but the hotel rooms themselves are spacious and give off deluxe vibes and theming for much less moolah than an actual deluxe resort. Gran Destino also offers multiple bars, a nice rooftop restaurant, and club-level rooms, making it the only moderate resort to have that club-level option. So although the internal bus loop at Coronado Springs can be a pain and the older section of the resort definitely puts off motel vibes, there are still some major pros to consider when it comes to this one, which is why I wouldn't be counting it out just because of where it falls on the TripAdvisor rankings. And that makes me also want to say, these hotels change all the time. The pros and cons also change. There have been times in my life as a Disney goer where I absolutely hated the Grand Floridian Resort because they were the only hotel that still had those old, scratchy comforters on their beds. And it was so awful to stay there because I hated those. But as soon as I stayed in a brand new Mary Poppins themed room, I loved those rooms, so suddenly my opinion has changed quite a bit on Grand Floridian. Now, I'm still not dropping $1,000 a night to stay there anytime soon, but I like it better now than I did 5-10 years ago. Same thing with Contemporary. That used to be my very favorite Disney World hotel. I loved that you could stay in that A-frame tower. You can walk to Magic Kingdom. It was amazing. But when they changed the rooms to the Incredibles themed rooms, I just really don't like that vibe. I don't like that room decor. And now that Grand Floridian has a walkway to Magic Kingdom as well, which is relatively new, suddenly I'd rather stay at Grand Floridian than Contemporary because of the differences in the rooms and the changes in the refurbs, etc. So a lot of these TripAdvisor reviews were left when things were different. So definitely keep doing extra research. Go watch our other videos about these hotels where we go more in depth into pros and cons. Same thing with Coronado Springs. Because of that bus system and that motel-like feel, I had no desire to stay at Coronado Springs until 2019, and suddenly the Gran Destino Tower offers you a fitness center, awesome lounges, great food, beautiful rooms, fireworks views from some of them, and it was like, well, this is fantastic, and it only costs $250 a night. I know, only, right? But we're talking Disney prices. And so Coronado Springs has suddenly become one of my go-to resorts to stay at. So things definitely change, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys say in the comments about your favorite hotels and what you think might be misrepresented in the TripAdvisor reviews. So at the end of the day, you gotta take these reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly, with a grain of salt, because what doesn't work for someone else might still be the perfect fit for you, and vice versa. Thanks so much for entering the TripAdvisor trenches with me today, and as a little extra thank you, here's that QR code again for our free list of all the Disney World resorts, just in case you need a helping hand when it comes to organizing and executing your upcoming trip. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.